Good evening, I'm Patricia Villone with the CTV News Update. A flood of evictions could start next week, which could lead to many people being homeless. That's the dire warning from many activists. The Maryland judiciary plans to resume hearing eviction cases on July 25th when the federal moratorium ends. The 120-day moratorium was part of the CARES Act, which passed in March. Governor Hogan also put a temporary halt on certain evictions during the state of emergency if tenants can prove hardship due to the pandemic.
So what we're looking at is masses and masses of Marylanders at risk of eviction right now.
Governor Hogan imposed a moratorium on evictions back in April that remains in effect until the state of emergency ends. But that is for tenants affected by COVID-19. There are still approximately 20% of tenants at risk of eviction in Maryland. CASA says that's about 145,000 people, and now eviction hearings are expected to start back up again next week.
Governor Hogan's eviction moratorium only covers some evictions. So people who are not dealing with regular eviction cases are at risk because on July 25th, evictions are going to resume. Courts are reopening regardless of that eviction order. And we have no clear date on when this eviction order is going to end.
CASA is concerned that whole families could end up homeless in the middle of the pandemic.
Evictions are a public health crisis, right? So no matter what the reason is, no one should be getting kicked out of their home.
Hogan recently announced that the state would put $30 million toward rental assistance for tenants impacted by the coronavirus. But the amount won't help much in Langley Park, one of the hardest hit areas.
One group of people who have been hit extremely hard throughout this pandemic from the very beginning has been immigrants, particularly undocumented immigrants. So, COVID cases are going down, but inequities are still persisting. We have seen, just a recent, you mentioned Langley Park, where we have the highest number of undocumented adults who do not have access to one, any relief from the federal government, and two, they're not eligible for unemployment at the state level, and three, the $30 million that Governor Hogan did allocate is coming from the Federal CARES Act. So undocumented immigrants will not be eligible for that as well.
Immigrant organizations have been advocating for housing relief since the beginning of the pandemic. CASA says the $30 million will translate to only about $200 per household in a state where the average monthly rent is about $1,300.
That $200 is not going to make a dent in even just 1 month of rent.
According to Maryland Matters, the Fair Action Housing Center of Maryland has seen a 400% increase in clients compared to last year.